Welcome to the Align Podcast. It's great to be back with you this week. I'm Tom Waller, and I'm here, as always, with my great friend and co-host, Lee Lawton. Lee, how are you doing today?
Good morning. I'm very, very well, thank you.
It's another great day to record, and it's an exciting plethora of topics today because we're going to answer some questions from our guests. And it's always nice to have people tell us, that they're enjoying the show, but we want to make the show better for the people who are listening. And therefore, if you ask a question, we would always try to answer it on the show. So you can ask questions by contacting us on our Instagram. Your Instagram is?
At Abandon Average.
And mine's at Dr. Tom Waller. Or you can, if you're on YouTube, you can put in the comments below or in any comments on our social feeds. So there's 3 questions this week. Before I get into those, anything happening in your world, Lee?
Nothing spectacular.
You got a bike helmet the other day, dude.
Oh yeah, mate, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I've just bought all my gear for my motorbike test, which is in a couple of weeks.
Epic.
Yeah, so I just need to get the bike now. So.
The bikes you want are awesome, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. So for my first one, I'm looking at getting a Ducati Diavel. For anybody who knows what that is, I'll put a picture of it on YouTube. So if you're on the podcast, go to YouTube if you want to see it.
Amazing.
But I'm super excited. It's something that I've wanted to do since I was a kid.
I love that, dude.
Very excited.
So let's get into today. We've got 3 questions, some great questions from our listeners. How do you know your life's path? Do you ever suffer with depression and anxiety? And what drives you? So 3 great questions today. We'll get straight into that first one. How do you know your life's path? Now, that's a big question.
Big old question.
Lee, how do you know your life's path?
Well, I just stumbled across it one day.
Yeah.
I think your life's path is ever changing, and I think sitting with your thoughts and writing is the way that I discover what my life's path is right now. But I think there's underpinning things, and it's probably we'll talk about it in what drives you, but for me, my life's path is to provide. That's basically what I want to do. I want to provide for my wife, my mum, my siblings, and everybody who I love. So that's sort of my destination, and then the path is the way to get there. But I do believe that changes depending on where you are in life. What about you?
Well, I completely agree. Cause let's say you're on this path to the new house that you've just bought. You'll get to the new house that you just bought, and you'll probably want to buy another one in the future.
Yeah.
You want to do something different.
Yeah.
So I don't think you truly know your life's path. You'll know what you want to be doing at a certain time in your life for a certain period of your life.
Yeah.
I think the frustration for people comes is they're like, I just don't know what I'm meant to do. I just don't know what I'm meant to do. And I think we need to flip the lens of that. Instead of saying, I don't know what I need to do, I don't know what I want to do, it's thinking about how can you go and serve other people.
Yeah.
So if I break that down, if I really want to think about what my life's path is, I'd ask myself a few questions. What am I really good at?
Mm-hmm.
What do I really enjoy? And how can I be of service to others? I think those 3 questions are very similar to the ones that you've mentioned on the show before.
Yeah, the Ikigai. And I've had someone message me, a listener, saying that that's really helped them to discover their current life path. So yeah, it's very similar. The only one that Ikigai's got that you haven't said is what can you get paid for?
What can you get paid for?
Yeah.
Which essentially is important because let's say you could be the best at something in the world, enjoy what you're doing, but if you're not getting paid, you're not going to be able to live.
No, you can't do it for long. You can't do it.
And then if you think about business, like getting paid is a reflection of the value of the service that you provide. So, what are you good at providing value for? If it's no good to no one else, it's not going to work. But we also lean into those questions and we think to ourselves, that's what I really want to do. That's what I really want to do. And then we turn around and we see someone else doing exactly the same thing. And we compare ourselves and we think, I can't do it like them. And then we stop.
Yeah.
Whereas there is that saying there is someone for everyone. There's always someone you can serve. So I don't think you know your life's path. I think the most important thing is that you are continuously trying to move forwards. And that's what we speak about on every single episode of how you can improve yourself and move forwards.
Constant growth in all areas.
Exactly. But also be selfish in discovering your life's path. Is what do you really want want to do? Like, what are you good at? And how can you provide that as value to the world?
Yeah, I think something that just made me think when you was talking then, for me, there's always, like I joked and said, I just stumbled across it, but there's always been that thing in my mind that is guiding me to what I want to do. But then there's the conscious part of my mind, which often has gotten in the way of that. So I think a lot of people probably know what their life path is, and they know what they want to do, and they know what direction they want to go in, but maybe fear is stopping them. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of what other people think. So a lot of you listening and watching probably do know deep down what that thing is that you should be doing and that you want to be doing. But you need to ask yourself maybe what's stopping you from doing that, or whose opinion is stopping you from doing that. And then just think, well, fuck them.
Yeah, and that thing that you want won't come overnight.
No.
It's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, you know, let's be real with our people. I spoke to you this morning. I've got I planned and booked courses to teach people throughout the latter part of the year.
Yeah.
And there's one coming up in a couple of weeks that I'm going to have to bin because the interest is not high enough. And I'm adjusting how that thing is working. Like my purpose at the moment is to help other people, teach other people, and grow. And I think this is probably the thing that's taking over more of that than what I'm currently doing. So that path is constantly changing.
Always changing.
And the fear thing's really interesting. You mentioned like nothing like a good cold immersion. You mentioned on the last podcast. My best visualizations happen after about 3 minutes in a cold shower. And then I start to go into this transient state, and I'm like, and I see things so clearly.
Yeah, it does help.
That it can't not be what I'm aiming for. Like we were talking before the show, and you were getting truth bumps. You said goosebumps.
Yeah.
But they were like telling you like it's
That's
a sign that
go.
that's the way to go.
Yeah.
But so often we have that, and like you just mentioned a minute ago, conscious mind kicks in, and we back away from that idea. And it's to lean into it and continue to lean into it.
Yeah, and trust the universe. Like, if you weren't getting these downloads and these ideas from somewhere, then it wouldn't be the thing that you were supposed to be doing. If it wasn't the thing you're supposed to be doing, it wouldn't even come into your mind. Like, I've never thought I should be a paramedic because it's not what I should be doing. It's not. It's not for me. So that doesn't come into my mind. But starting a podcast and talking about personal development and providing value and helping people to live better lives has been on my mind for nearly a decade.
Sarah read a great, I don't know what the book is, and it's probably been like half a decade since she mentioned it to me. She read this thing, and it talked about ideas come to everyone, like little fairies that float around, they come to you. If you don't act on that idea, that fairy's going to fly off and give the idea to somebody else.
Go to someone else, yeah, that's a good way of
and then they're going to make that into something. And like Les Brown says, what's the most expensive real estate in the world? The graveyard.
Yeah.
All those things that never came true.
Yeah.
So I suppose that leads us on quite nicely into our second question, which is, do you ever struggle with depression and anxiety? The reason that these leads in quite nicely is because a lot of us get anxiety when we're trying to do something different or grow or things aren't quite going our way. We have briefly touched on this, I believe, in another episode, but depression and anxiety, Lee, is that something you struggle with or have done? Or
briefly, like really briefly, but I was in a really unhappy relationship, so sort of, and I wasn't, I suffered with depression just before I found personal development.
Yeah.
And I think it was because I'd spent my whole 20s half of my 20s partying and doing all sorts of crazy things. And then I came out of that and didn't really have any direction and didn't really know what I was doing. And I think, like, what's that devil's work, idle hands saying? Have you heard that?
Yes, I have, but I can't remember it.
Yeah,
I know exactly
the devil makes work for idle hands, basically. Yeah. And because I wasn't driven and didn't have anywhere that I was going towards, even though in my 20s the thing that was driving me was partying and my friends and massive friend groups and going out and music and those kinds of things, I needed something to replace that, I think. And then I found personal development and and I actually did try antidepressants for a little while, and they totally messed me up. Like, they're just not compatible with me. They didn't help. I mean, they numbed me for a while, and I wasn't on them for long, and I was on quite a low dose. But yeah, I soon realised that these were not very good for me. So
I just think there's just some people might be in crisis where it's needed, but like for the vast majority, it's criminal giving those drugs away.
Yeah, the thing is though, it's just money in it. A lot of it,
dude. So I got a couple of sayings here, like depression, anxiety. I would say I've struggled massively with anxiety. I spoke about it on a previous episode. Depression, I think, if you're allowing the anxiety to go on for too long, and I think it was Chris Zano who said this. Chris Zano is a very well respected chiropractor. He's also Mr. Universe, so he's done a lot with his life now. Has some big stem cell businesses down in South America. He said depression is the opposite of expression. Depression is the opposite of expression. So you're saying there, just before personal development, you felt depressed.
Yeah.
Personal development allowed you to become more of who you are and therefore express you.
Yeah.
If we're not allowed to express who we truly are, I think that builds up a level of depression, because we are all meant to be our unique, weird self.
Yeah.
Because the world needs you. Not everybody needs you.
No.
But the world needs you.
Yeah.
And then coming in with anxiety is simply fear of the unknown. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what's going on. What's the answer to that? Personal development.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're prepared for whatever may happen in the future.
Yeah.
So these topics are massive. These topics have become so big that they are now very emotive. And when a topic becomes emotive, you shouldn't be talking about it, and you certainly shouldn't have a strong opinion on it, because some people are really struggling with this right now.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this in jest, and I do feel for the people listening. And I have worked with not necessarily thousands, but hundreds of patients who have struggled with this.
Yeah.
If you can give yourself permission to express who you are, and then lean into developing yourself personally, so that nobody knows what's coming around the corner.
No.
But you can deal with it.
Yeah.
Then I think it will be an easier hurdle to overcome.
Yeah. And I'm listening to this book at the minute called The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. I saw him on a Puberman podcast. He says that a lot of people think that they're not creative, but being human alone is a creative act. So when you say depression is the opposite of expression, that's basically what he's saying. Like, even people who, like, I know I'm creative, and I identify as a creative person because I do creative acts. But even people who are watching this who don't identify as a creative person, you are creative. You are creating your life every single day. You are creating the reality around you at all times. So just by being human, you are being creative. So,
dude, my accountant is a really creative person. Like, you know, in what typically, socially, we would say is not a very creative thing.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. So then our third question that we have is, what drives you? So you may be struggling with depression, you might be struggling with anxiety, you may not know what your life's path is, or you may know what your life's path is, but it's bloody difficult to get there.
Yeah.
I think this question is asked in the sense that not how can I find my drive, but genuinely asking us as people, what drives you? So what drives you, Lee?
Family.
Yeah.
It's family, at the risk of sounding like Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious. Family, yeah. Just to provide, like, my family's, there's never been a millionaire in my family. We've never had money. Like, we were pretty poor growing up, like, especially on my dad's side. Like, they've really struggled throughout their lives. And yeah, I just want to break the cycle and provide for my family, retire my mum and my siblings, and even if they want to keep working, they can. My brother's a voice actor, so he loves what he does, so he'll probably...
Dude, you have like, I was listening to the podcast back, and I was like, this guy sounds like he's been on the radio for years. You've got a great voice. You've got a really good voice.
Thanks. Maybe it's in my genes.
Make your brother jealous, dude.
My brother does voices to the point where I can listen to them and I don't know it's him.
Oh, really?
He's that good, yeah.
Maybe I'll have to do like a little intro for us.
He does, yeah, maybe. He does like Warframe. He does all loads of big video games, Blizzard video games and stuff. He's awesome at it. So yeah, I don't know if you listen to the podcast actually, but
that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, family for me. Just providing. What about you?
Sticking up for the little guy.
Yeah. Like,
I think it comes from like feeling like the little guy when I was younger, and I distinctly remember this scenario. So I was at school, and I was getting picked on and getting bullied a little bit, And I came home one evening. I was quite tearful, and Dad, like, instead of consoling me, he said, "What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I think you should hit them back." And I'd never had that advice before. So the next time I remember being in the change room it's the basement of a house block that we had at the school. You can tell us a bit posh school, can't you? In the house block we had. And these three guys come in who have been picking on me. They were the year above me. And I remember kicking one of them, throwing another one against the wall, pinning the other one against the wall until the teacher came in. And I had just lost my head.
Yeah.
But I fought back.
And I bet they didn't do it again.
No.
Yeah.
But sticking up for the little guy has been such a thing for me. I think that's why I'm in healthcare.
Yeah.
And I'm in a healthcare that's not conventional.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sticking up for the little guy. I think deeper in that is being told I can't do something.
Yeah.
I am driven like no end when someone says, "I don't think you can do that." And if you combine those two, I will be unstoppable.
Yeah.
I literally will make it happen.
Yeah.
And I have absolute confidence with that because I know in making it happen, I'm helping someone else because I'm sticking up for the little guy.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me.
And then the bonus question was, when are you releasing merch? And the link is below.
The link is below. So we found a good supplier.
Yeah.
Working on designs.
Yeah.
And if you would like to support the show, we'd encourage you to go and have a look at the merch that we've got and really support us on that because we want to help this show grow further and further and further. And we're getting to the point now where we can only really do that with some support. So we'd really appreciate you buying the merch, and hopefully it's got some cool stuff on it that you feel proud to wear to show that you are someone of personal development who is making a difference in your community. So thank you for listening to the show. Really appreciate it. Make sure that you go ahead and share the show. Text the show to a friend, copy and paste it, send it across. Let them know how good it is and how it's helped you. If you're on the podcast, make sure you go across to the YouTube and subscribe. Leave us a comment. Leave any questions that you've got on the YouTube or contact us through our social media. Anything more from you, Lee?
Yeah, so we'll be doing these Q&As hopefully once a month, throwing in a Q&A session where we answer any questions. So if you throw your questions in there or on our Instagrams at Dr. Tom Waller and at Abandon Average, we will answer any questions you have.
Nice talking to you, Lee. See you next
too.
time.
As always. Thanks, mate.